Okay,
Okay.
my name is Joe Calderon, and my topic is the Roman arches. My partner is Emily Montoya, and her topic is the Orvieto Cathedral. Okay, I'm going to explain some similarities architecturally from the both of us. Okay, um, the use of arches. The Roman, they perfected the arch, whereas her Orvieto Cathedral, the Gothics, they advanced it by using the like the pointed arch. The innovations that we used um, were the Romans. They pioneered the keystone and the barrel vaults. Gothics, they were good on building the fine buttresses that were very majestic and pretty. All right, the materials that they used, both of them used stone and paint. On the triumphal arches, they don't have paint on them no more; they're long gone. But the Orvieto Cathedral, that has a lot of painting on it. It's very, very beautiful and very, very colorful inside and the outside. The symbolism is the Romans. They were more to display the power of the imperial might of Rome, where um, the Orthodox Cathedral is more to invoke the divine awe of God in architecture and in art. Okay, um, Emily, is there something you want to add to that?
Oh,
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to give a review topic on my topic, the Triumphal Arch, and then I'll pass it on to Emily. Okay. So my topic was the Triumphal Arch. The purpose of the Triumphal Arch was to commemorate an event or a person, really like an emperor. Okay. And the design features in that were they used what was called the Voisiers. That's what's called the Voisiers and the Keystone. And with the voussoirs, they were wedged blocks that made that met up at the very top, and they made a true symmetrical circle that gave strength to the structure. They also used uh columns. They weren't necessary. It was a freestanding structure, but they used columns to give more of a grandeur. Okay. They also have inscriptions on them. Uh, some had deep barrels in them. The vaults were pretty deep. Um, the ideological roles were really like propaganda and military dominance, and also a sense of pride for the Roman citizens that they're a part of something great. And if you saw that, you would know like, whoa, this is big and impressive.
mhm.
Okay. The influence on modern architecture would be today we still use them. There's one in New York, the Washington Arch, dedicated to Washington's centennial inauguration, and there was one in France dedicated to Napoleon when he made his conquests, and there's also one in India dedicated to the War One veterans. It's also used for cities. Also, sometimes they're very romantic, very cute. You can take pictures behind the backdrop of a arched a true arch in a bridge where you can see it. So those are places that you can see them in this day and age. Emily, I'll toss it over to you so you can go and give
So,
your review of your topic.
okay, so hello, my name is Emily Montoya, and I'm doing Gothic cathedrals that focuses on the Oviedo Cathedral. And I'll explain the use of the arches. So, yeah, the Romans advanced their engineering through their arches, allowing them to be able to tell the history of each battle and battles and events and their victories. And through time, the Gothic cathedrals were inspired by modern skyscrapers, and they focused on the lighting and the stained glass windows to showcase their large murals that tell cultural stories. So the material used, they both use stone and decorative elements like marble. And the symbolism, the Roman arches displayed imperial power, Gothic cathedrals evoke divine awe. And yeah, the Gothic cathedrals also added that the pointed arches and fine buttresses allowing for taller structures and larger stained glass windows. And they both use stone for the construction and designs for like a more elegant appearance. And yeah, let me think.
Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to is that good?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Now we're gonna move on to our feedback. Okay. And so, Emily, my feedback on your report on the Orvieto Cathedral, I learned what a facade is. I did not know what a facade was before, even though I passed by them. I see them in Edinburgh all the time. A bunch of apartments have like this front. I'm like, it has nothing to do with the back. I'm like, it didn't make sense to me. But now I see like
Yeah.
and I've heard that word before, facade too. So now I know what the word facade means, and and I learned it through your report. I learned it through religion, art, and architecture. And the facade that you picked out was the Orvito. It was a very grand, very beautiful. I learned a lot about it. I learned
Yes.
the history about the cloth, why it was built for a cloth. You talking about that dropped the Lord's that had the Lord's blood on it. It's a religious place. It's very old, very ancient. It's very grand. It's very beautiful. It has carvings from the New Testament to the Old Testament. All of it's covered up. You know what I'm talking about with
Yes.
some picture. You know what I'm talking about of religious stories that were told in the Bible that you could just look at all day long. And so the
Mhm.
carvings are similar to the arches too. So
Mhm.
I actually appreciated your report. I learned a lot from it, and I'll pass it on to you.
So, so the triumphal arches, they were like a blend of the art and architecture, and they were symbolic tools. And I learned that they were like, let me see. I learned that the arches commemorated like the victories, and I didn't even know that like arches that high would like, commemorate to stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. It was pretty cool. So there was a little blend into my. Yeah, actually, we'll talk about that right now. We'll connect them right now. Okay, that's good. Also, one thing I did see that there was a connection. There was Emily because the arches there's arches inside the cathedral, actually, but
Yes.
yours have for purpose. Yours are
The
used for
ribbed
doors,
walls.
or mines are just for decoration. And so that was a connection. Only yours were more advanced. Mine's had the keystone, and yours had a pointed arch. So those were similar. Okay. All right. So now we're going to move on to our final, and that would be the connections to um, modern day connections and modern day influences. Okay, so like I said, yes, today modern day influences would be that even though arches don't do very much, they serve a purpose in reminding of a past. And like I said, in New York and in France and in India, and maybe one day, another one will pop up. So it's influence today is just to like make monuments to you know what, it also brings, like the one in New York, it brings a sense of pride to the city. The one in New York, the one in in France, in Paris, that one's very beautiful. As a matter of fact, 12 streets go into it. It's a big arch, and man, if you're in Paris, I think it's in Paris, man, you're gonna have to go in there. So it's a sense of
Yes.
pride, a sense of grandeur, and it brings people together. It becomes a national monument that people want to go and see, and it creates tourism, and it's to be appreciated. It's very beautiful, and I like that. Emily, anything connections today with your Orvieto Cathedral?
Well, in museums, there's like a bunch of art that showcases like the history back then. And churches, they're like, they kind of relate to the Gothic cathedrals with the art that like goes from the walls to the ceilings. And yeah, they're very decorative. Also with the glass stained windows. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all I did with this right here, both of our monuments were built to impress, and
Yes, they were.
they were very big, and beautiful. So that had that in common. It wasn't something small; it was something monumental. And the differences that I saw, Emily, was that the arches that some key differences. I think one key difference would be that the cathedral was made actually for people to go in and people to worship.
Yes.
It's actually something that's used. It was used back then the same way it's still used today. It still hosts that cloth, and so it is an actual function that people actually use and they actually enjoy. Where mine, it's not the same kind. It's different. Mine is more of a monument. It's something big. It just commemorates a moment, a time, a history that people were here and they did this. And I would say those are two big differences. That ones people can actually use and enjoy, and the other ones they can enjoy, but they really can't go into it. You know, what I'm talking about, and do very much. So I would say that was a key difference right there.